Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Jahred That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof.
G'day, how the bloody hell are you going? It's Jahred That Aussie Metal Guy here with Crank.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it's a great pleasure that I have a really great guest for you. Very stoked to have a true legend in the house. None other than legend Jahred Gomes, the front man, Mr MCUD of the iconic bringers of G-Punk, HED PE. These guys have been tearing up the scene with a unique blend of punk, rock, hip-hop, and metal since around 1994, believe it or not. 30 bloody years of HED PE, and you're gearing up for a massive Australian and New Zealand tour in February 2023, hot off the backs of your Detox release album, which, believe it or not, is the 15th album, I think it is, from you guys as well, which dropped in December. So thank you so very much for joining me, my friend.
Bro, thanks for having me on. Thanks for the introduction. Can't wait to get back there, play some tunes from Detox, which debuted #1 on iTunes. What? Who would have known? But yeah, bro, thanks for having me.
Exciting bloody times. It has not slowed down for you guys in the 30 years. If anything, you have grown and grown to the band that you are now. How do you feel about that now, looking back and thinking fucking 30 years of HED PE, 15 albums? Did you ever imagine yourself still doing this, man?
Well, you know, I've made a lot of mistakes. I have a lot of regrets, but I'm still here doing the only thing I know, which is rocking out. And, you know, I'm just humbled there's a lot worse ways to make a dollar. So, you know what? I'm stoked that I'm still getting invited to rock in Australia because, you know, after 30 years, I've seen markets come and go. You know, like we don't go to Japan anymore. So it's nice. But then again, we are going to Mexico City for the first time, right? And we're going to South America, I think Chile and Nicaragua for the first time. But having said that, it's just nice to fucking still be able to come to Australia and rock out.
Well, you've been coming here for years. You have quite a dedicated fan base here in Australia as well, which must be quite exciting every time you kind of come here. You kind of get a fair bit of packed audiences. And I know with this tour being announced, there was quite a few people and also some support bands that supported you guys on the last tour who I'm friends with that go, HED PE are back. Fuck yeah, dude.
Dude, that's great. And you know what I'm glad you mentioned that because about the local Australian bands, because you know I actually get to do like because of the interwebs, I get to like work with Australian rockers sometimes and get on a track with them. But I'm always impressed by the bands that we play with, and they're always fucking cool, you know. So yeah, that's one of the pluses of going to Australia is good music.
Well, collaborations have been a huge part of HED PE's journey. You've had some really, really great collabs out there as well. Are there any local artists or any bands from Australia that you haven't worked with that you'd be really keen or interested to do something with at some point?
Oh, dude, there is a band, but I can't fucking think of their name right now. God. Shit. If I asked my bass player, he would remind me, but there's this really cool band, God damn it. Like kind of like punky reggae metal that my friend Sam in Australia hooked me up with, and we were trying to get a tour together and it never materialized. But I'm sorry, bro, I can't remember their names. I hope they're doing well though. Yeah.
Sam, is he playing a band down here?
No, he was actually like a boxer and a surfer and a HED PE fan. He took me to the beach out there to try to surf, but it was too windy. But damn, I'll never remember the hold on, I'm gonna text my bass player and say, what was the name of that Aussie band that was ruling? Let's see what he says. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, Let's see if he says something. But yeah, Sam's a really cool guy. You know, don't ask me whether it's Brisbane or Melbourne or one of the other towns because I haven't heard from him since the last time we were there.
Yeah, well, you are touring with the Detox album, but also, you know, you've got a huge back catalog, which is worst place to be. How do you go picking out what tracks you're going to play and kind of mix it up a little bit compared to last time, but also playing some tracks off of Detox as well?
Right. So I'm definitely trying to like play oh, that band was called the Bennies.
Oh, I know the Bennies, dude. Fucking that would be cool as you guys with the Bennies, man.
Love that band, but I've never collabed with them. I would love to fucking get on a track. But anyway, yeah, now I'm forgetting what the question was.
Just how do you set out the tour, you know, because you got to play some tracks off of Detox, then playing the tracks over the last 30 years.
Right. I'm trying to kind of play what I think everybody wants to hear, which is interesting because then when I pull up like the Spotify top 15, I'm pretty much that's what I'm doing. I'm playing with the top streamers with some exceptions, you know, just trying to create a set that has a nice arc to it that kind of hits all the bases of hardcore metal, hardcore punk, little bit of reggae, some hip hop, you know, just telling a story and make sure people feel the punch, you know, feel the relief, the resolution when we're done. But it turns out that I'm playing, you know, what people want to hear mostly. Mostly.
Yeah, most definitely. And you guys have, for me, you have always been a band that have been innovators in the metal scene ever since you kind of started. You were one of those bands that were kind of mixing in all these different elements, these punk elements, these metal elements, these hip hop elements, and these reggae elements. Kind of how do you see the role that you guys have played over the last 30 years and kind of where you are today?
Well, yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because I'm trying to just kind of go with that guttural, like primal feelings of what I like, you know, which is those genres you mentioned. Look, when we first started, it was a lot more what you might call trip hoppy, where like I had two guitar players and a DJ, and it would be very common for them all to be playing something different at the same time, you know, orchestrated out, but very complicated. Nowadays, the sound is it's just a punk rock lineup with bass, guitar, drums, and so we're hitting all the genres, but it's more streamlined. I mean, for lack of a better description, it's just more stripped down.
Yeah.
We're playing more on the songwriting than kind of like the crazy sounds and stuff.
Yeah, did you sit back like now as the career that you guys have had, and I can notice it as a mad music lover, the influence you guys have had on other bands, you know what I mean, coming out and through. How do you feel about that? Because it's really great for me to see kind of the impact you guys have had on the music industry that is going to last long after you guys have gone, yeah?
Hey, you know, that's humbling, and I think that's great because obviously music is like science. It's built on the shoulders of those that came before, you know. Um, what is the saying? There's nothing new under the sun, right? It's just different different variations on a theme or whatever, you know. But you know, you're right though. I do, you know, hear sometimes the influences, and that, of course, gives me a warm, fuzzy
Yeah.
feeling. But that again, that's just the nature of music. I'm constantly influenced by, you know, what I'm hearing since childhood and then to this day. And it's nice to be a part of that that family, though, of artists.
Yeah, so touching on the blending of genres, especially for the Detox album, that being the 15th album from you guys, kind of how do you keep the sound fresh and exciting, both for you yourself as a musician, and for the new and longtime fans as well?
Yeah, and I think that's really I think that's the trick right there, because I have to remind myself that it's not just for me, you know, that so it's a balance of like satisfying my own artistic desires with satisfying what I think my people will want to hear from me. Because there's been records and times where I only satisfy myself, and then people have let me know that, like, what the fuck is this or whatever, you know. So it's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, but as a musician too, you also want to be able to bring out stuff that's self-fulfilling, because music is art and art is life, and without art, we're very fucking empty-souled people, eh?
Right. And isn't it like a cliche of like bands that are much bigger than HED PE, where like they'll have a huge record and then get self-indulgent on the next one, and fans are like, what the fuck is this? You know, like I remember when I was a kid, if you know that band Rush, right? That band Rush, which was just like a power trio with just a bass, guitar, and drums. Then they got huge, and then their very next record had tons of keyboards on it, and lots of people were like, what the fuck is this? Even Eddie Van Halen did that one time, where like he was so fascinated with keyboards that like he put out a record which the fans were like, there's way too many keyboards on here. So, you know, I'm not the only artist to go through that type of shit, right? Where you're like, you want to just put a record out of whatever you're into right then, but the people who are into you may not be into your new thing, you know.
Yeah, well, that's one thing you guys have always been good at, you know, innovators. Each album is a little bit different. It's what I've really liked about HED PE as well. Like bands like, I'm an Aussie, I can shoot bullets at AC/DC like them, that can bring out 10, 20 albums of 2 notes, you know what I mean? And, you know, pretty well the same songs recycled over and over again, you know what you're getting. But with a band like HED PE, you kind of have that sound, which is always growing and evolving and innovating and kind of doing something a little bit different with each release as well.
Right, right. That's largely due to my like evolution of what I'm into as an artist, and I'm kind of like steering the ship. And then there's been like records that I'm writing with a guitar player that I haven't even known for that long, and those records kind of might come out of left field, you know, because for me, I like to like kind of have a writing partner, preferably a guitar player, and get a songwriting groove going with that person. Like that's kind of why Detox, I think, came out so good, so well, because I've been writing with that guitar player for years now. So I think that we're kind of hitting a stride, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty important to have that connection with your main songwriter, guitarist as well, and be able to work off each other. And it does take time, you know what I mean, to kind of build that relationship.
Totally.
Yeah, and Detox, man, that was a really, really great album. Can you tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind this album?
Yeah, Detox is like the title comes from like detoxing from the pandemic, you know. And that can mean lots of things, like trying to just get rid of it could mean its most literal sense, which is detoxing from all the chemicals and red wine and drugs that I did during the pandemic to kind of stay sane, and then detoxing from all the negativity and you know, all the things that happened during COVID. So that's what the record is about,
It was a,
just trying to recover,
it was a
you know.
crazy, crazy fucking time during COVID, wasn't it? It did kind of change things up, and the way the state of the music scene, even guys like you, your big bands like yourself, like found it hard because increasingly more and more you got to be able to tour and have that connection. And when everything shut fucking down, it was like, what do we do now? You know what I mean? And we got to try to survive as well because we're metalheads, we're still buying albums, but increasingly more and more people are just fucking streaming instead of going on and supporting the scene. So COVID had such a huge impact on everybody through that time.
Yeah, normally as a working musician, no matter what's gone on with the economy or whatever, it never stopped us from touring. That was the first time where I was, and I'm sure a lot of different people in a lot of different professions went through it, where all of a sudden they couldn't work. So yeah, I'm still recovering from it in a lot of different ways, but things will get better. But that's what Detox's inspiration comes from.
Exactly. Everything's recovering, even in the music industry. Because, like, I know over there, over here in Australia, I think we've had 1,820 odd live music venues that have shut down since COVID. Yeah.
Whoa.
It's the state of the world at the moment. I think there's 18% on average. It's about 18% less live music venues. I know the US is the same. COVID happened, and a lot of these venues that do put on metal shows and rock shows kind of closed up and never reopened again, which is kind of a really, really fucking sad scene for me to see, and obviously yourself to see as a musician. Yeah.
Dude, just hearing you break it down like that really hits home, because 18% is a huge number.
Oh, yeah, dude. You've been around for 30 years, so you've seen the changes in the way the music scene is, especially now with the more and more streaming.
Well, yeah, and especially like we've only been to Europe once since the pandemic, and it was so gnarly. Um, hopefully it's bouncing back.
How good is
But
Europe, though, for fucking metal? We all need to learn from them, Australia and America, dude. Europe is unreal, man.
fucking A, bro. Yeah. So I'm going back to the UK and shit next week when I get home from Mexico. So I'm only there for a couple weeks, but I'll be interested to see how it's doing.
Yeah, dude. And like you do tour a lot. It must be grueling at times. How do you and the band kind of manage to keep yourself energized and motivated during all this?
Well, it's a way of life, and it's if you're a road dog, it's not the biggest deal. It's not for everybody. I'm sure lots of people couldn't, or not that they couldn't, they wouldn't want to do it. But for me, it's like it's all I know is rocking out for a buck or here or there. So I don't have other skills to fall back on. So it's what I know and what I do. So I'm just, like everyone who travels with me, I'm built for it and we're ready to go. I just got back from doing 9 weeks. The biggest thing is missing your family, because I have a 17-year-old son, 3-year-old daughter. Thank goodness for my wife who holds the fort down while I'm gone. But that's pretty much the biggest. What am I going to do? Complain that I can't sleep in my bed every night? Or
yeah, you're right. The hardest thing is going away, especially at that age 3. You go away for 6-7 weeks. They're like growing this much, and you're like, oh my God. That's probably the hardest thing of it, dude.
That is the hardest thing. Like I got home, my 3-year-old daughter had grown like 6 inches and was a different person.
That's why it's important for people to kind of get along and support the bands. They don't see the hours and the hours of work and the sacrifice, the hundreds of hours honing and learning your craft. And you guys have been doing it for 30 years. So for me, I've always been banging on about support and kind of how I feel the music industry is broken, how people think, oh, I'm just going to stream and I'm supporting the band. No, getting along and buying tickets to your shows when you come in February, buying a shit ton of merch when you come over, supporting the band by buying an album. For me, it's always been the home team thing. I'm not a sporting person, but bands are my home team. That's where my fucking passion is, dude.
Dude, and we need more people like you. But yeah, or else I wouldn't have a living. Luckily, and look, HED PE is just like a bar band. You know, we play at the fucking billiards hall, the pizza joint, whatever. You know, and I'm kind of amazed that I still even make a living at this shit. But thankfully so, and thankfully people still support band culture in 2024 because it's kind of becoming like a classical thing, you know.
That's one thing I love about the heavy metal community. We always buy merch. I was at Nile last week, and just the lineup for the merch stand, it always makes me smile when I see that at shows, because we are still buying albums, we're still buying shirts, we're still buying records, which is something I'm extremely proud in the metal community for.
Right, dude. So yeah, thank God that my people are like that, because it's food on the table. That's what I'm always saying, bro.
Well, your HED PE fans bleed for you guys. You massively support your fans as they support you as well. Jumping back into Detox, the themes do kind of seem personal and intense. Kind of, how did you approach the songwriting for that album?
Wow. I was at no loss for words. It was pretty fucking easy.
Yep.
Well, my thing is this, bro. Like, I'll come in and listen to a song that I've had a chorus written and recorded for 5 months, and then just throw it out the window and start over. But so having said that, that's how Detox was. I was not afraid to change stuff, scrap whole ideas and reapproach them. And but you know, I'm really proud though of how it came out. There's a lot of really personal stuff on there, and a lot of just like what the kids would call fire bars. I wrote some really good rhymes and some good wordplay on there. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, that one must also be great, because you guys, the way you play the shows and you get out there and say good day to the fans as well, must be really good for you to kind of see these people that have come along for their 30-year journey, but also people bringing along their kids and these younger generation coming through and discovering you guys and then going back and listening to your back collection as well.
Definitely a couple generations of and like you just described, fans who were teenagers who now have teenagers. It's pretty gnarly.
That has to be the best feeling. So we did talk about set creation, man, but with this Detox album, what tracks, how do you pick out, I don't want you to say exactly what your set list, but how do you pick out which tracks off of Detox you want to play, and which one are you really keen?
I'm always interested, and all of my records are written to where the first song should be the first song of the set when that record comes out. So that's a for sure thing. Like, I'm writing the first song thinking this is my opening song for the next 2 years. You know, so that's a for sure. And then after that, I'll just try to choose, whatever song off of Detox that I think will fit the vibe. Because I know I've got all these hits that I have to play anyway.
Yeah, and that this being your latest album as well, I do got to ask, how do you feel this represents HED PE, the evolution, sound, and the message you guys are portraying?
Well, I'm into more personal lyrics. There was like 5 records there where I was like singing about secret societies and conspiracies and all that. But these days I'm more interested I'm more fascinated with songs and lyrics about more personal stuff.
Yeah, and that's something for me that like kind of I love about bands and artists. I do want to touch on a point with you, dude, because I've started getting emails. I got one yesterday for like fucking AI music. It was a full presser with someone who had created an AI band, the whole fucking everything, dude. If you didn't have a closer look and notice it was AI, you'd be like kind of, oh, what is this? But I'm totally against it all. But I just want to know your thoughts about this kind of thing because I fucking hate it. I know in this society, look, AI is starting to make approaches, and some things I'm kind of like, yeah, but when it starts encroaching on music and that kind of things, it really gets my hackles up, and I'm not happy with how it's looking for the things at the moment. I wasn't happy with streaming, but with this AI shit, dude, it is fucking. I don't know. I'm keen to know your opinion on it all, man.
Wow, I don't take it that seriously. Um, it's funny. I get a kick out of, well, to me, it's in two different categories musically. There's the AI music, and then there's AI vocals,
Yep.
which for me, AI vocals are really silly.
Ah,
And and for me, AI music is not as silly. Um, just because vocals are supposed to be from a person, but I don't take it that serious, and I don't hate it. It's funny to me.
yep.
I don't I don't consider AI music competition.
No.
You know,
I was talking
uh,
to a producer about it yesterday, a music producer from Australia. I won't mention who, but we were talking about is like it's just a stupid concept. Look, I'm not worried about it. If someone wants to go out and get some fucking AI music, I don't understand it, but it's for me. I just don't understand the whole concept of it. And I was listening to it, and like you said, the AI vocals sound silly. Yeah, the music was like, but it was even too. The production sounded too good. I love listening to bands like yourself as real bands and real people where the lyrics are personal and you listen to a Head PE album and you feel what you're feeling, but it's also very subjective as well. I feel what you're going through at the time, but I can also personally relate to a lot of your songs and lyrics to what I'm going through. The AI, it just feels like some plastic, fake, pretend person trying to touch on emotions that they have no fucking idea about. I don't know.
right. So here's the thing for me, right? If someone hits play and I hear a song that I'm like, "Oh, that sounds cool." And then if immediately after they're like, "Hey, that was AI." Eh, my reaction would just be like, "Oh, wow. Wow. That's fascinating." You know what I mean? That's just me, right? But I'm sure like someone else would, not appreciate the experience. Me, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to feel too strongly either way about it.
Yeah, as long as it's properly labeled, I suppose, so people understand what they're getting. But then again, I always think about the bands and the artists. For me, I've always loved heavy metal, and for music, growing up as a teenager, like bands like yourself, like you were talking about Rush, but for me, it was like bands like Head PE, Fear Factory, Sepultura. Those were my Rush bands that were my
But
therapy as a teenager.
nothing's going to replace that because
No.
those are humans making music. AI is a program making music, so you'll not be able to go see those people in a show. So
You won't have those experiences, not like you will in February when you go see you guys come and play all over bloody Australia and New Zealand as well. Look, this has
right,
been an absolute pleasure, Jared. I could go on all bloody morning, but I got to know you do have a few on, man. You guys are playing February 2nd, Amplifier in Perth, February 5th, Cranker, February 7th, Max Watt in Melbourne, 8th, Crowbar, Sydney, the Triffid, 9th, February 13th over to New Zealand. We got Wellington, 13th, 14th is the Loons in Christchurch, February 15th, rounding it out in the Galatos in Auckland. Jahred, this has been an absolute pleasure to finally catch up with you, mate. Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, mate?
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys. Officialheadpe.com for some concert tees. Thanks for your time. I'll see you next year.
I'll be there, front row center at the Cranker. Cheers very much, mate. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Brother.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jahred, that Aussie metal guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.